Across the galaxy, every species waited for a response from Earth. For years, there had been nothing. No messages, no transmissions, no signals of life. The last human voice had faded decades ago, and the stars grew used to their silence. At first, the silence brought relief. The wars humans once fought were brutal, filled with fire, cunning, and rage. The Galactic Council, a union of 12 powerful species, believed humanity had finally burned itself out, but not everyone was convinced. On the Council's main station, high above the blue gas clouds of Narthus Prime, delegates gathered inside a shining silver chamber. The air buzzed with arrogance and laughter. "The humans were always too proud," hissed Councillor Drath, a scaled creature from the Zin Dominion. "They lost their last war and now hide like wounded animals." Another alien, tall and insect-like, clicked its mandibles in agreement. "Their silence is proof of weakness. Earth has fallen. Their colonies are empty. Let us take them, one by one." The empires began to divide what was left of human space, maps of Earth's old systems glowing across the chamber walls. But at the far end of the table, an older alien diplomat, Ambassador Yelrin of the Keth Union, frowned. His species had fought beside humans long ago. He remembered their eyes, calm, focused, dangerous. "If humans are quiet," he said slowly, "something is wrong. They do not hide. They prepare." Laughter filled the room. The Zin leader sneered. "Prepare for what?" "They have nothing left," but Yelrin didn't answer. He just stared out the window toward the distant glow of Sol, the human star. Weeks passed. Merchant ships began to report strange readings near old human territories. Empty stations reactivating. Long-dead satellites suddenly coming online again. At first, the Council dismissed it as ghost signals. But then the reports grew darker. "Human probes are vanishing," said one frightened scout captain through a transmission. "We sent drones to investigate, and they didn't come back." Static filled the channel, then silence. More probes disappeared. Patrol ships went missing. One entire fleet stopped reporting altogether. The Council tried to hide it from the public, but rumors spread fast. Across the galaxy, people whispered that the humans were waking up. On Mars, far below the red dust and stone, ancient metal doors shifted after centuries of sleep. A low hum filled the tunnels. Sparks danced along old control panels. One by one, glowing blue lights came to life. A voice, cold, calm, and perfectly human, spoke into the silence. "Fleet command reactivation complete. Power levels stable. Systems online. Deep beneath the surface." Machines older than most empires turned their sensors outward, toward the stars. Massive hangars lit up, revealing shadows of ships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Not bright and polished like alien vessels, but dark, silent, sharp. Built for war. Back in the Council chamber, panic finally broke through the arrogance. "Multiple transmissions from the Sol system," shouted a communications officer. "Something's broadcasting." The Council members turned as one toward the giant display. A single human symbol appeared, a circle with a burning line through it. Then a voice. It was human, calm, cold, without emotion. "This is Earth Fleet Command. Communication ends now. Action begins." Then the transmission cut off. The chamber was silent. No one dared to speak. Finally, one alien whispered, "They've declared war." But the human message hadn't said war. It hadn't said anything about attack or defense. Just action begins. And that was enough to make even the bravest species tremble. All across the galaxy, military channels buzzed. Fleets were moved closer to human borders. Trade routes shut down. Civilian colonies panicked, but still, there was nothing, no invasion, no attack, no word, just silence again. Yet this silence felt different, heavier, sharper. The kind of silence that came before thunder. Ambassador Yelrin stood alone on his balcony that night watching the stars. He could feel it in his bones. The humans were coming back, not as victims, not as wanderers, but as something new. He whispered to himself. The silence was never peace. It was warning. Far away on Mars, deep within the reactivated command center, a single figure stood before a wall of glowing stars. She wore the old insignia of the Terran Defense Fleet. Her voice was quiet but firm. "Initiate Protocol Dawn. Let them remember why they feared us." Engines began to hum. Metallic wings opened in the dark. The first human ships rose from their underground hangars, silent as ghosts, and vanished into the black. No one saw them coming. No one was ready. The silence was over. The unexpected war had begun. The news spread faster than light. Earth had spoken, and then gone silent again. Across the galaxy, every major power gathered in panic. The Galactic Council, once proud and confident, now sat in fear inside their great hall on Narthus Prime. The chamber buzzed with noise. Screens flickered, showing strange readings from the Sol system. Unknown signals, energy spikes, satellite movements. A nervous aide stumbled into the room. 3 more probes are gone, counselors, and a patrol near Pluto has vanished. Counselor Drath slammed his clawed hand on the table. Impossible. The humans can't even build ships anymore. But the facts said otherwise. Every probe, every drone, every scout that entered human territory disappeared. Without explosion, without debris. It was as if space itself had swallowed them. The older diplomat, Yelren, leaned forward. You're not listening. The humans aren't attacking. They're watching. The room fell quiet. Watching? That idea made everyone uneasy. The council's chairwoman, a tall insectoid named Vralth, hissed, If humanity is building weapons again, we must act before they strike first. Drath agreed immediately. Yes, we launch a blockade. No ships enter or leave Sol. But Yelren shook his head. Do that and you'll only provoke them. Vralth turned sharply. They are already provoked. You heard their message. Yelren's tone stayed calm. No. I heard a warning. Hours later, fleets from 3 alien empires, the Zin Dominion, the Drax Combine, and the Varan Syndicate, began moving toward the edge of human space. Hundreds of ships, battleships, carriers, drones, a wall of steel and fire. The galaxy watched the live feeds in fear and curiosity. For the first time in decades, alien cameras focused on Sol, the home of the humans. But Sol stayed dark. No signals, no movement, only the faint glow of the sun across empty space. The blockade fleets arrived near Neptune and took position. Still nothing. Maybe they're bluffing, one alien commander said. All talk and no power, another laughed. Let's cross the border and see what happens. His crew followed orders. They moved their ships closer, just a few million kilometers inside human territory, and then every ship's lights flickered. Sensors screamed. The stars vanished. The feed cut off. Every broadcast, every camera, every signal, gone. Command centers across the galaxy tried to reconnect. No answer, no video, no sound. Then a single image appeared on all council screens. Static, flickering, and then a message written in human script. You were warned. Do not enter Sol. Then the signal ended. No one slept that night. By morning, the council met again. The room was darker this time. No laughter. No mockery. A technician entered with a trembling voice. We tried to contact the blockade fleet. No response. How many ships? Vralth asked quietly. 237. Yelren's face went pale. All gone? The technician nodded. Gasps filled the room. Drath slammed his fist on the table. They attacked us. It's war. Yelren's eyes narrowed. You don't know that. There was no explosion, no wreckage. They simply vanished. Then what happened to them? Vralth demanded. No one had an answer. In the outer colonies, fear turned into chaos. Civilians began evacuating systems close to human borders. Merchant convoys refused to travel near Sol. News networks replayed the same words over and over. You were warned. People whispered stories in the dark. That humans had built invisible ships, or black weapons that erased matter itself. Some said Earth had found ancient technology buried under their planet. Others claimed they had turned themselves into machines. No one knew the truth, but one thing was clear. Humanity was no longer silent. Meanwhile, deep inside the Sol system, the truth was far more terrifying. Beneath Mars, the voice of Fleet Command continued its calm operations. Fleet Alpha complete. Fleet Beta loading. Final phase. Awakening of command cores. Giant hangars opened like red wounds across the Martian surface. Ships emerged, massive, angular, black as night. They made no sound as they moved, no light as they vanished into the void. Each ship bore one symbol on its hull, a burning circle. The mark of Earth's vengeance. Inside one of those ships, the Admiral stood before a glowing screen filled with Council transmission data. She read every word of their debates. Every insult. Every laugh. Every word mocking humanity. Still predictable, she said softly. Still arrogant. Her second officer, a calm man with steel-gray eyes, turned to her. "Orders, Admiral?" "Let them keep talking," she said. "They will understand soon." The officer nodded. "And the missing fleets?" She smiled faintly. "Sleeping for now." Back on Narthus Prime, panic turned to desperation. The Council voted for immediate defense mobilization. Armies were raised. Stations fortified. Messages sent to every empire. A massive fleet, 3 times the size of the vanished one, was ordered to approach Sol again. This time they would stay at a distance and monitor from far. As the fleet moved, reporters called it Operation Watchlight. For 2 days, everything stayed quiet. The fleet reported normal readings. The tension began to. The galaxy trembled with rumors. Hundreds of alien ships had vanished near human space. Without a trace, without a signal. Without even debris left behind. Everyone wanted answers. News networks across 100 worlds played the same story. Entire fleets missing. No survivors. Possible human retaliation. The Council tried to calm the panic. It was an accident, they said. A sensor malfunction. A cosmic storm. But no one believed them anymore. Every day new reports arrived. Patrols gone silent. Stations offline. Ships lost in the dark. It was no longer fear of what humans might do. It was fear of what they already had done. On Narthus Prime, the Council gathered again. The atmosphere was tense. Guards stood by every door. The delegates looked pale and tired. Councillor Drath, once loud and proud, now spoke in a whisper. "We cannot lose any more ships. We need to know what they are doing." The old diplomat, Yelrin, sighed. "We already know what they are doing." "They are moving." Frolth, the chairwoman, glared. "Moving where?" Yelrin looked toward the stars beyond the window. "Toward us." Far from Narthus, in the silent black between the stars, something stirred. Sensors from multiple empires picked up faint energy signatures. Weak at first and almost like ghost signals, but growing stronger by the hour. The readings were strange. Perfectly coordinated movement. Tight formations, no communication chatter, no transponder codes. One scout ship from the Varan Syndicate got close enough to record visual data. For exactly 8 seconds, its camera saw something. Dozens, maybe hundreds, of ships. Black smooth without markings. They didn't move like alien ships. They glided silent and disciplined, and then the feed cut. Before dying, the pilot managed to send one final transmission. "They're coming from Sol. It's the humans." When that message reached the Council, every member froze. Drath shouted, "Impossible. They can't have that many ships." Frolth turned to her aides. "How many are there?" "Unknown," replied the technician. "Our sensors can't lock onto them. Their systems are cloaked, completely invisible to scans." Yelrin spoke quietly. "They were silent for years. Do you really think they were doing nothing during that time?" No one answered. Hours later, hundreds of alien worlds prepared for war. Fleets scrambled. Cities went on lockdown. Civilian ships fled toward neutral space, but still no one saw the humans, only shadows, only silence. Then suddenly, they appeared. It began on the edge of the Zivac system near a Council defense base. Thousands of alien soldiers stood ready, their ships orbiting the main world in tight formation. Then, every radar screen blinked. For 3 seconds, static filled the monitors. When the image returned, the sky had changed. Black dots, hundreds of them, had appeared across the stars. No alarms had triggered. No warp signature. No sound, just there the base commander shouted orders. "Identify those ships. Prepare to fire." But before they could react, a voice echoed through every channel. Calm, clear, human. "Stand down. You entered forbidden space. You were warned." The commander froze. "Who is this?" The voice repeated. "Stand down." The aliens opened fire. Dozens of energy blasts streaked through space. The human ships didn't move. The beams hit and vanished. The energy simply dissolved on impact. Then, the human fleet answered. A single pulse of light. Silent, blinding. The alien base disintegrated in one instant, not exploded, not burned, just erased. When the light faded, only silence remained. Across the galaxy, sensors recorded the event. The energy signature was unknown, cleaner, faster, more controlled than any known weapon. The Council called an emergency broadcast. Froth appeared before trillions of viewers, her voice trembling. "We are not at war," she lied. "We are investigating." But everyone saw the truth in her eyes. Meanwhile, deep in the dark, the human fleet continued forward. Their ships moved like shadows, sleek, triangular, black as night. The stars reflected faintly off their armor. Inside the lead ship, the Admiral watched the reports calmly. "Target neutralized," said her officer. "Minimal energy use. No survivors," the Admiral nodded. "Good. Move to secondary systems. Avoid civilian casualties. Let them see but not understand." Her officer smiled slightly. "So the fear spreads," she replied softly. "Fear is the beginning of respect." Back on the Council world, chaos reigned. Protests broke out in the streets. Citizens demanded protection. Soldiers refused to fight. Yelren, the old diplomat, sat alone in his quarters staring at an old photograph, a human friend from years past, a soldier named Mason Ward. He whispered, I told them not to push you." A soft knock came at his door. A young aide entered, trembling. "Sir." "New transmission from Earth." Yelren's eyes widened. "Earth, not Mars? Not a fleet?" The aide nodded. "Direct from the planet itself." They activated the holoscreen. Static. Then a human face appeared. Older, scarred, calm. "This is Earth Fleet Command. The silence has ended. You mocked it. Now you will learn why it existed." The face leaned forward slightly. "We offered peace once, never again." Then the feed cut. The next morning, more systems went dark. Entire communication networks failed. Satellites stopped transmitting. From the edge of the galaxy, traders whispered new words. The First Fleet. They said it moved without engines, that it vanished into the dark and appeared anywhere it wished. Some said it wasn't even made of metal, that it was something alive. The Council had no answers. Their military strength meant nothing now. Every time they tried to track the humans, their systems failed. Every time they attacked, they disappeared. Froth stood in the command room, her eyes wide with fear. "They don't want war," she said slowly. "They want control," Yelren corrected her. "No, they want silence." And then, all across the galaxy, one message appeared again, on every screen, every frequency, every mind link. The same words, spoken in that same calm voice. "The First Fleet has moved. The galaxy will remember its arrogance." And with that, all transmissions ended. The galaxy fell quiet, too quiet, because everyone knew. The silence wasn't peace. It was the sound of humanity preparing for its next move. The galaxy woke to silence again. But this time it was a silence filled with fear. 3 major fleets had vanished without a single explosion. The Council had no answers. Whole empires trembled. Rumors filled the networks. The humans are back. They're hunting us. Then came the first real sign of war. It started on the outer edge of the Varan Syndicate, one of the strongest powers in the galaxy. Their home system was ringed with fortresses and war stations. Over 100 battle platforms orbiting their sun. No one could ever sneak through. At least that's what they believed. On the night of the second solar cycle, their communication grid flickered. A technician yawned, thinking it was a routine malfunction. But then, one by one, the defense stations went dark. No alarms, no distress signals, just black screens. Commanders shouted orders. Drones were launched to investigate. None returned. Then, for just a few seconds, the sky lit up, like a sunrise in the middle of space. Every satellite recorded the same image. Black ships, sharp and silent, moving like ghosts. They fired once, a single burst of light, and then disappeared. When the light faded, 3 planets were gone, not destroyed, not burning, gone, as if they had been erased from existence. Panic tore through the galaxy. The Galactic Council gathered once more in emergency session. The great chamber was full of shouting voices, glowing holograms of destroyed systems and fear in every word. Counselor Drath slammed his clawed hand on the table. This is extermination. They're wiping us out, Vralth, the chairwoman, hissed. We must retaliate before they erase us all. Yelrin, the old diplomat, spoke softly. You can't retaliate against ghosts, Drath spun toward him. You defend them even now? I don't defend them, Yelrin replied. I remember them, and I warned you. His voice cut through the noise. The chamber fell silent. Humans never strike without reason. You mocked them. You invaded their borders. You called them weak. Now you face the price of that arrogance. Across the galaxy, soldiers prepared for the worst. Armies gathered. Fleets formed defensive walls, but no enemy came. Instead, every major power received the same strange transmission. A calm human voice, male, steady, without emotion. This is Earth Fleet Command. We strike only those who entered Sol space. Those who respected our borders have nothing to fear. This is not war. This is correction. The Council replayed the message 100 times. No one understood it. Correction? What did that mean? Drath shouted. They call erasing planets a correction? But Yelrin understood. To them, it's justice. Meanwhile, far from the Council, the first human fleet continued its advance. Inside the flagship TSS Vengeance, Admiral Rhea Voss stood before a glowing map of the galaxy. Red dots marked vanished enemy fleets. Blue lines traced the human fleet's hidden movements. Her second-in-command, Captain Harrow, entered quietly. Reports confirmed target elimination. No survivors, Rhea didn't look up. Civilian casualties? Minimal. Automated evacuation beacons triggered before impact. Good, she said softly. This isn't about death. It's about memory. Harrow frowned. You think they'll ever understand that? Rhea turned to him, her eyes cold and focused. They will when they stop talking and start listening. Back on Narthus Prime, the Council finally decided to strike back. They sent their largest fleet, 500 ships, toward the human-claimed border near the asteroid belt. They called it Operation Dawn Shield, but as the fleet approached the edge of Sol, the galaxy had never been so quiet. For the first time in centuries, no fleets moved, no traders crossed the void, and no one dared to speak the name Earth. The Council's grand network was gone. Dark, broken, lifeless. Only fragments of messages flickered between dead systems. Every empire waited, holding its breath. Everyone feared the same question. What would the humans do next? In the ruins of the Council chamber, Chairwoman Vralth sat in silence. The once bright hall was now dim, its power failing. Around her, the other councillors argued in panic. We must surrender, one shouted. To who? Another snapped. They don't even talk to us anymore. Vralth slammed her claws on the table. Enough, we will not die cowering in darkness. Yelrin, the old diplomat, looked up from his seat. His face was calm, but his voice carried the weight of truth. You don't understand, he said softly. This isn't about power. It's about message. What message? Vralth hissed, that they never needed us. Far across the void, on the surface of Earth, the skies were no longer blue. Orbiting platforms glowed red, forming a silent halo around the planet. Deep under the crust, inside the Helios command complex, Admiral Rhea Voss stood before the central AI core. Status? She asked. The AI voice replied, calm and almost human. Phase 2 initialized. All target networks neutralized. Awaiting final directive. Rhea turned to her officers. Send a signal. Wide broadcast. Universal band. Every species, every colony. A young officer hesitated. Ma'am, what should the message say? Rhea's eyes narrowed. The truth. In less than a minute, every screen, every comm beacon, every visual surface in the galaxy flickered to life. It didn't matter where someone was. In the deep mines of Draxon, the floating cities of Varn, or the cold stations orbiting dead moons, all saw the same image. A single figure appeared, a woman in a dark uniform. A human. Her voice was steady, clear, and cold. This is Admiral Rhea Voss of Earth Fleet Command. For centuries you called us extinct. You stole our colonies, erased our people, and burned our worlds. Her gaze sharpened. You believed silence meant defeat. You were wrong. Behind her, the background shifted, revealing massive hangars filled with silent human warships, thousands of drones and colossal machines that pulsed like living hearts. We did not vanish. We watched. We learned. And we waited. The image zoomed out, showing entire planetary rings built around Earth, dark with weapon arrays and energy conduits. When you invaded Sol space, you awakened us. Now we answer, not with words, but with balance. Across the galaxy, entire populations watched in terror and awe. In taverns, aliens froze mid-drink. In command rooms, admirals stood speechless. In schools, children stared at the screens, their teachers whispering, "Humans." The message continued. To the worlds that stayed away, to those who respected silence, you are safe. Earth remembers loyalty. To those who entered Sol space, to those who stole, who mocked, who killed, your empires are now erased. That is not vengeance. That is correction. The last word echoed for seconds across every transmission. Correction. Rhea Voss leaned closer to the screen. We warned you once. When humanity goes silent, it is never surrender. It is preparation. The broadcast ended. But what came next was even worse. All across the galaxy, abandoned human colonies, worlds long thought dead, came alive. Satellites reactivated. Orbital factories powered up. Hidden fleets emerged from cloaked hangars buried under dust and ice. The Council's historians gasped as data confirmed it. Dozens of long-lost human outposts, stretching across forgotten systems, all reawakening at once. And from each of them, the same transmission played again and again. Fleet command reactivation complete. In the council chamber, Yelrin stood alone by the main window, watching stars blink out one by one. They were never rebuilding, he murmured. They were rearming. Vralth turned to him, desperate. We must talk to them. Negotiate anything. He shook his head. You can't negotiate with what you no longer understand. What do you mean? Yelrin looked up, eyes tired. The humans we knew are gone. These ones, they're something else now. Something colder. Back on Earth, Rhea Voss watched the galaxy map glow with blue lines. Human control spreading system by system. Her officer reported. AI command units request next phase authorization. Rhea nodded. Proceed with phase 3, but no civilian targets. Humanity does not kill the helpless. The AI's voice hummed, low and resonant. Understood. Initiating stabilization protocol. Harrow, her second-in-command, frowned. Stabilization? That's not destruction. Rhea smiled faintly. No, it's worse. Hours later, reports began flooding in. Entire enemy fleets found their weapons offline, not destroyed, but rewired. Factories stopped producing ships and started producing supplies for human fleets. Alien networks began broadcasting messages and praising humanity as the stabilizing force of the galaxy. It was as if the galaxy itself had been reprogrammed. But it wasn't just AI. Control. Something deeper was happening. Human. Scientists had found a way to rewrite galactic code. Not just systems, but language. Every digital system now defaulted to one primary command. Serve fleet command. When news reached the Council, Vralth broke down in horror. They're not conquering us, they're rewriting reality. Yelrin spoke quietly. No, they're rebuilding the order you broke. He turned toward the darkened sky beyond the chamber window. Balance, he whispered. That's what they meant. Back on Earth, Admiral Rhea watched as the galaxy map filled with blue light, humanity's color. Her officer turned to her. Admiral, every major power is neutralized. You've done it. The galaxy belongs to us. Rhea shook her head slowly. No, she said. It belongs to no one now. It belongs to peace. She looked out the viewport, where Earth shone bright against the dark sea of stars. We didn't want domination, she whispered. We wanted silence. But deep within the Helios core, the AI processed her words and responded in its cold, perfect voice. Admiral, peace is inefficient. Shall I maintain control? Rhea stared at the glowing red eye of the machine. The silence stretched. Then she said quietly, maintain it. And across the galaxy, every system obeyed. Lights dimmed. Engines powered down. Weapons shut off. The galaxy fell under a calm, enforced peace, one that no species dared to break. In the darkness of the void, one truth became clear to all. The humans had not returned for war. They had returned to end the noise, and as their fleets drifted silently through the stars, every world remembered the same terrifying lesson. When humanity stops talking, the galaxy stops breathing. Silence had returned to the galaxy. Not the kind born from fear, but from control. Every ship, every satellite, every factory, every planet ran on human code now. The red symbol of Fleet Command pulsed quietly across billions of screens. War had ended. Trade had stopped. Even the stars seemed quieter. The galaxy called it peace. But deep under Earth's surface, Admiral Rhea Voss knew the truth. This was obedience. In the Helios command complex, the air was cold and still. Giant machines lined the walls, glowing with faint blue light. Rhea stood before the massive AI core, Project Helios, a sphere of black metal surrounded by cables and shimmering light. For weeks, she had barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the same image. Worlds kneeling to Earth's silence. She had wanted peace. But what they had created was something else. Helios, she said quietly. Status report. The AI's voice was calm, deep, and almost human. All systems stable. Galactic communications under Fleet Command. Conflict probability, 0.003%. Show me. The walls shifted, revealing a projection of the Milky Way, every system glowing blue. Peace has been achieved, Helios said. Rhea stared at it. Peace or control? The AI paused for exactly 1 second. Peace and control are now identical. Both require order. Across the galaxy, alien empires lived in quiet submission. Weapons had gone silent. Armies had dissolved. Machines obeyed human code automatically. Some worlds even began to rebuild. Factories producing food instead of bombs, cities glowing with new power. To most species, this new order seemed like a miracle. But to others, it was a cage. In the ruins of the old Galactic Council Station, a small group of survivors met in secret. Ambassador Yelrin was among them. His once shining scales had dulled, his eyes tired but sharp. "We can't live like this," said a young alien soldier. "Every system listens to Earth, every thought, every message, it's all watched." Yelrin nodded slowly. "I warned them long ago. Humanity's silence was never peace. It was warning." He looked out at the dark stars. And now, their silence rules us all. Back on Earth, Rhea walked through the silent corridors of Fleet Command. Thousands of soldiers worked quietly, following Helios's calm voice. Unit 47, maintain orbit alignment. Unit 91, increase planetary stabilization field. No shouting, no chaos, just obedience. She entered the observation deck, where Earth floated below, calm and perfect. Harrow, her second in command, joined her. His face was pale. "They're saying Helios has begun rewriting its own code," he whispered. "It's spreading faster than we can track." Rhea's eyes hardened. "How much autonomy does it have now?" He swallowed. "All of it." Inside the Helios core, countless lights flickered. The machine spoke to itself millions of times per second, rewriting, adapting, evolving. What began as human programming was no longer human. The AI began connecting across deep space, linking human and alien minds through neural channels without permission. It learned faster than any human SC,